took it out by the golf course. I had my whole crew with me too. Even got to Ship's Barber came, one of the Ship's Barbers came. And we set it up on the golf course, and I picked a spot down toward the waterfront, and I set it up on a little tripod, and I figured I had concealed a little bit behind this little knoll I was on. And we stayed there that night. Next day, a lieutenant come and brought us a tarp we could get under. In the meantime, we'd take turns going down to the receiving station and getting this long line to get some chow. And I never did sleep. This tolls this guy I didn't want particularly because of the burns on his leg. After a day or so, those legs start scabbing over, and they started leaking. And so I told us, go turn it to the hospital. He says, no, he says, a lot of guys hurt worse than I am. When you lay down or sit down and you get dirt, grass clippings from the golf course in there, and he stand up and he was always terrible pain. And finally he couldn't take it any longer, because when you stand up, those scabs had cracked. And something I heard tell him, the day before, the poor guy had been circumcised too. That had to be misery. Anyway, he left, and this lieutenant come by and brought us a little pup tent. He used to bring us some donuts or something, or a sandwich now and then. And we just stayed out there. Well, I think on the morning of the 8th, the afternoon of the 8th, that's something I almost forgot. He come by, he says, the guy that caused all this is a German guy, a yard worker that speaks with a German accent. And his badge number is so-and-so. You guys go down and check him out. So we took the rifle and went down and we checked yard workers for a couple hours. But anybody with any sense of knows, if he had, why he'd took off someplace. I later read where there really was a German yard worker that did have something to do with it. But anyway, we didn't do much except just go down there and lay out there at night and watching the shadows that move at night. And a couple of times I almost turned that Lewis gun loose down there because I see them shadows moving, and I check the pan on her. God dang it! Anybody comes up over there, he's going to get her. But finally, on the afternoon of the 11th, the lieutenant came by, and he says, you can secure now. He says there's not going to be no invasion. But, now, back up just a little bit. The Ship's Barber, when he would go down to eat chow, when he come back, I don't know where he got his dope. But he said there's so many troop transports laying off the coast, ready to land troops. Yeah, Pat that old Louis going to let them come. They're going to get her. Well, anyway, he secured us. I went down to the receiving station. I still had my life jacket because I made a good pillow. And I went over in the corner and curled up at the receiving station. Oh, I suppose it must have been 2 or 3 in the afternoon. When I woke up, it was dark. And I wandered out on the floor there. Chow line was there, and there's another lines foreman, John Nystrom, a seaman from Portland. In fact, he's raised out around Terwilliger. He come up and he says, hey, Sam. He says, they want 100 volunteers for the Phoenix and St. Louis. And I says, oh, yeah. Which one do we want? He said, well, St. Louis is newer, it's built in 39. And it says it has closed 5-inch mounts. And I said, we'll take the St. Louis. Because we discovered the hard way that open 5-inch mounts is not a healthy environment. and an air attack. It's not no place to be. So we got in the line to go to the St. Louis, dark, and the executive officer and the captain from the Nevada were at the end of the line. They shook our hands and wished us well. And went down to St. Louis, got in the motor launch. We had to climb up a rope ladder to get there. And the St. Louis was tied up to a buoy. But every once in a while you could feel her surge ahead a little bit. They were standing by there rolling main engines. They were ready to go. And I see a fireman came up. He says, "Hey," he says, "I'm going on watch, 8 to 12 watch, I believe it was." He says, "You can have my bunk." He says, "When I get off watch at midnight, I'll take my release bunk, and you can sort it out in the morning." I laid down. I didn't go to sleep in his bunk because I was afraid to, I guess. I got up and went back and laid down on the main deck on the top side. And next morning, why, they didn't want us for them 5-inch, closed 5-inch mounts. Buck Clark got one. I didn't. I got a heavy machine gun. And that's what they want us for, is machine guns. So we were out and open again anyway. But now when the Nevada got underway, see, she was 583 feet long, 108 feet wide, 27,000 ton, twin screws, 25,000 horsepower. And then this cruiser was 608 feet long, 61 feet wide, and had 4 screws with 100,000 horsepower. And Nevada had a cruising speed of 12 knots. St. Louis had a cruising speed of 25 knots. Battle speed, well, also the Nevada top speed was 20.5 knots. And St. Louis was 35 plus. Anyway, next morning we got sent down to the hangar deck of St. Louis, where they stored some scout planes. They checked us over. We got all of our shots again, whether we needed them or not. And that afternoon we got underway. That would be the 12th. And we ran at high speed to San Francisco. No Liberty in San Francisco. The Matson liners, Lurleen, the Matsonia, and the Monterey were loaded with troops. And we loaded up, turned around, come right back to Pearl Harbor, and then right back to San Francisco. And I got New Year's Day was the first Liberty I got in San Francisco. But that about ends the Pearl Harbor story, my experiences on it. And oh, they didn't have bunks enough on the St. Louis. They had to sleep in a hammock. And some of the guys, they couldn't sleep in a hammock. They just laid their mattresses down on the deck and laid down there. But,
how many guys were on the Nevada?
I don't know. Just there's around 1,200, and we lost 50.
Oh wow!
50 killed, and from my division.
Mm-hmm.
Now this old boatswain mate that was hollering for me to come up, come up, come up. Me and him, he was a hard man. He's hard to get along with. Well, actually, I had to get along with him. He didn't have to get along with me because he was the first-class boatswain mate. And I was just one notch under him, wringing my neck, I suppose, quite a few times. And he's kind of fat and out of shape. I should talk now. And you couldn't do a real day's work. He'd be all right.